Hello there. This tutorial will help you learn to access our databases and our pre-approved websites. We're encouraging you not to start with a Google search because we don't want you to have to spend a lot of time evaluating the articles you find. Any weirdo can post articles on Google, and we don't want you to have to sort through all the bad articles to get to the good ones. If you have exhausted the pre-approved sources, then you can go to Google to get more information. Okay, so Scullin Middle School has a lot of digital resources that will be very good for searching, and they can be found on the Scullin Library Media Center webpage. On the bottom right, this is where all of our databases are. The two that will work the best for this compare contrast assignment will be Student Resource Center and SURS Discoverer. I think you should start with Student Resource Center. This is an amazing database, and it has a lot of information that will help you get started. I imagine that many of you will not know exactly which topics you want to report out on, and this will help you with that preliminary step. What do I want to compare and contrast from the 1950s and 60s to modern day? So here we have our source, Student Resource Center. We also have our search term links up here. I'm going to search by using youth culture, pop culture plus 1950, decades, teenagers plus 1960. There might be more search terms that I come across in my articles, so I have space to add those. We're also going to have our note-taking sheet up here and ready. Just for demonstration's sake, I did already pick two topics, but you may not have done this yet, and these still might be blank. And I have this set up to compare and contrast two overall topics and have the similarities and differences of each. You may manipulate this template to show that you're going to be talking about maybe one overall topic branched out into three compartments of that overall topic. It all depends, but this is what I'm going to use for demonstration purposes. So let's go back to our source, and I suggest that you type in just the era dates. Let's do 1950s, and hopefully we'll get some sort of an era overview to help you decide what you want to talk about. So we've got movies in the 50s, education in the 1950s. This might be interesting to compare and contrast because there was desegregation and segregation happening. We don't really deal with that this day and age, so that's one option. So we talked about movies, men's fashion, sports. Here's a 1950s era overview. This might be just a good place to just sit back and read and get a handle on what was happening in the 50s and the 60s back then. And this might help you decide what topics you want to pick. All right? You should do this for the 60s too. Type in 1960s and see what there is for the 60s. Arts, fashion in the 60s, media. There's probably an era overview here also. All right? So let's pretend that I did pick fashion in the 60s. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this article. And I'm going to sit back and just really let all this information soak in before I actually type anything out. So I'm going to read this paragraph, and here it talks about the 60s were a time of transition, and it looks like we went from conservative dress to thigh-high miniskirts, dirty blue jeans, and foreign cars. So I might want to take, thigh-high miniskirts and dirty blue jeans. I might want to transfer that information onto a note card, but it might be nice to know about why. It looks like volatile changes in taste and fashion mirrored what was happening in society as a whole. So I might go back to my note card and type something like, maybe let's see, so fashion sort of resembled what was happening in the world. Lots of changes. So the fashion sense changed dramatically. So it sounds like it was conservative to now, we could say another bullet point could be went from conservative dress, conservative dress to more risque, what's another word for, let's see, to maybe showing more skin. And then I could just put mini skirts, jeans that were dirty. Much different than the nice clean line look from conservative era. Now, once you take notes, I have a note card here, you have to go back to your article, scroll to the bottom, and cite your source. The beauty of this is there's already a citation made for you. So you copy, Control C, go back, and you click on details, and you paste your citation right in here. And it's going to be connected to the card. Every time you click on the card and go to details, that particular citation will show up. So I think you get how to manage the toggling back and forth from the article to the note page. All right. There's other ways to use this database. You could also type in something like, what were my search terms again? Let's try youth culture. Let's go back to Student Resource Center and see what we get with that. Youth culture. Talks about Madonna. I'm not seeing much there. Let's try a new search term. Might be teenagers in the 1950s right here. So I want to see what I get with this. Youth-centered fashion. This looks like it's going to work for me. So I'm going to go back to my search terms really quickly and add teenagers in the 1950s. Let's make sure that this is the same font just because that will bug me, and I think it's probably like 18. Teenagers in the 1950s. So I found a new way to search because I like this article, Youth-Centered Fashion. That's perfect. So there's more in here about the preppy look, the greaser look. All right, so I'm going to go back to my note cards and start typing in, I don't know, greaser look, and I can define what that is. There's also preppy look. Now I don't know if these note cards are going to end up going under similarities or differences. We're going to have to see about that. All right. So I think you get the hang of how to use Student Resource Center. So let's go back to Scullin Middle School webpage and take a look at SURS Discoverer. Oh wait, one more thing I wanted to show you back on Student Resource Center. You can see that when you do a search, there are different tabs that come up. The reference tab is what we've been using so far. There's also magazines, academic journals. If you use these other tabs, you might be able to go deeper into your topic. But you just want to remember that, magazines and academic journals and news might be good for present day fashion and music and whatever you're talking about, and the reference might be good for back in the day. All right, just wanted to point that out. So let's go back to SURS Discoverer. Let's try teenagers in the 1950s and see what we get here. Once again, we have a kind of an inventory of all of our articles. We have 138 articles here. There's 25 newspapers, 49 magazines, 52 reference. You can see what we have here, and then on the side you can see what the type of source is. I like this under pressure. This is sticking out to me. It says, being a teenager has always been tough, trying to figure out who you are and what you want, where your body changes and your mood shifts faster than an iPod changes songs. But now ramp it up 1,000 notches. So it kind of sounds like kids may have more anxiety now than ever. So this looks like I might want to read it. This icon says that it is a web page, and since it comes from a database, it has been pre-approved. so no worries there. So we'll go through and read some of this. More teens than before are diagnosed with mental disorders, from anxiety and depression to behavior problems. They're trying to juggle outside activities, get jobs, homework. I don't know. I also think it probably is going to talk a little bit about social networking and how that adds pressure. So once again, you'll take your notes and you'll scroll down and take your MLA text citation, Control C, go to my note page, and maybe I have something about anxiety here, and you'll type actual notes, and then I'm going to go to details and get my citation copied in here and move on. So this is SIRS Discoverer. Lots of different ways to use this database also. You could just click on newspapers, magazines, reference. You get a whole new list each time you click up here. And then over on the side it kind of tells you what your source is. So this is another option. And then lastly, those are our two databases that work. SIRS Discoverer and Student Resource Center. So lastly, I want to show you about another source, and this is not on the home page but on the catalog page, and it's called WebPath Express. This source gives you a tremendous amount of approved websites. It's all websites, where before there were different sources on those databases. So I like this search term. This seems to be working for me. Teenagers in the, let's try the 1960s. And see what we get here. Eric Clapton, Ruby Bridges tells her story. This is a segregation story. Bob Dylan. You can look through here and see the index, the 50s web. What's this? Oh, the whole pop culture this will tell us about on this web page. The clothing, fashion, games. This is kind of cool to take a look at. So when you're on this WebPath Express, you get a little blurb about what the website is about. You get a Lexile score, and then you just click on here. Either of these links will take you to the actual article. Okay, so the beauty of this is these articles are all pre-approved. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and this will help you get a good start on how to take notes and how to use our pre-approved sources. Thank you.